So today I'm going to show you how to disassemble a Samsung Rant. This is just the screen disassembly. I am going to repair or put another screen on to another phone, but I'm not going to show you that in this video. It's just specifically the screen disassembly for all those who want to know. This is the Samsung Rant, and I'm sorry about the lighting. We're just going to hop right into it. The tools that you're going to need: Phillips screwdriver, a metal pry tool, guitar pick, and I like to use an angled tweezer. And then something to lie my phone on, because a lot of times the phone is laying on its face and I don't want it to get scratched or anything. And this is really like janky, you guys, so sorry about that. So I'm going to just hop right in. The back comes off. There's a little button right up here. Press it in. Back pops right off. Battery pulls right out. There are screws around the perimeter of the phone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to pull those out. Go ahead and fast forward if you don't want to sit through me pulling them out. In the last Samsung Rant that I pulled apart, I had to use the tweezers in order to get the screws out. It's an old phone. It's not an iPhone. It's not a Galaxy, so there are a lot of screws. But fortunately, there's no need for a heat gun for this repair. So I'm just going to loosen up all of the screws. Some of them fall out quite nicely. On the bubble wrap that you see underneath the phone that I'm working on right now, there are some screws. Those are to the old Rant that I just took apart. I'm going to keep all my screws together because there's a lot of screws in the inside of the phone that you're going to need to keep together as well. Usually I use a mag mat for all of my repair needs. Mag mat looks like this. Anyone experienced with phone repair knows what that looks like. So I'm going to finish taking these screws out. Got one more. And sometimes they might not pop out with your screwdriver, but they might just fall out. My screwdriver is magnetized, but it's not pulling these screws out. Alright, so all my screws are out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. And move some of these out of the way. We have your screws out. What you want to do is take apart this back casing. It pulls off pretty simple. The buttons might come off, and if they do, it's not a problem. You can pop them back on. Just be careful when you're propping it open. There you go. See, my button just kind of plopped off right there. I got another one that's stuck to the screen. And I'm going to go around. There are clips on this side. And you want to be careful you don't break. So I'm going to take my metal pry tool and just kind of work my way around. You'll hear it click. There's another button, the volume button over here, that's going to pull up as well. There's another click. I got one more down there, and it pulls right off. Let's set that to the side. Inside here, you see the motherboard on here. There are some cables that you're going to have to be careful with. More specifically, one cable that is directly underneath here. What I like to do in repairing this phone is to pull out the screws. So I am going to remove some screws. Okay, the screws I'm going to remove are directly underneath this motherboard right here. You want to be really careful because you don't want to damage the flex cable that's underneath. There's a cable that runs, turn it up a different way. It gives you some movement, but if you can see that little part that's connecting the motherboard to the I don't know the terms, but there's like, you know, the keyboard down there. There's a flex cable, and that runs underneath into this slider part right here. Sorry, I don't know the terms, but so it's under basically 3 levels of stuff, and that's what we want to get down to so that we can remove that flex cable in order to take the screen off. So I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to carefully lift up, try to do it so my hands aren't in the way. Going to lift up this board here, and right underneath, kind of move it over a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but there are 8 screws, 2, 4, 6, and 8. I'm going to take my screwdriver and then I'm going to take the screws out. I'll come back once the screws are out and then I'll show you what to do from there. Okay, so my screws are out. My board is kind of sitting there. Your keyboard over here might come out. I would just remove it and set it to the side because you're going to have to flip this over in order to take out some other screws on the other side. And the other screws you're going to remove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These screws that are on the slider are, well, for this phone are kind of difficult to get out because they just don't like to come up, but so we're going to remove these screws. And try to do it where I'm not so much in the way. Just I'm going to take my tweezers and just pull them out. Now, if you find that you have a screw that just does not want to come out, with this particular phone, unlike iPhones, with this phone, it'll come up with the screen. Like, see, I'm having a difficult time getting the screw out. There it goes. But on the other one that I've already disassembled, I had a hard time getting the screws out. But when you pry the screen away from the slider portion, don't know the technical term, sorry, the screws come up with it as long as you unscrew it as far as you can possibly unscrew it. Don't try to force anything, but I'll get to that. So I'm going to turn this around. So there's 3 screws on the other side, 3 screws on this side. I'm going to unscrew them. There's 1. There's 2. And the reason why I'm holding this motherboard the way that I am is because it's attached. And it's attached, like I said, 3 levels deep. It's like Inception right here. And pulling them out. There goes another screw. And this is my final screw. Doesn't look like it wants to come out. But I'm going to move on anyways. So I'm going to lay this carefully back on. What I'm going to do here, the screen, I don't know if you can see it all that great. I'm going to try to get a good angle because my lighting's not great either. Okay. Right here, you see the black and the screen is red. I'm going to stick a pry tool in the middle of that. And then I'm going to pry the black away from the red. There's no glue involved. It's all screws, so you don't have to worry about that. You'll hear clips. It starts to pull apart. Just turn it around, go around. You can hear the clips. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Yeah, it's 3. You want to be careful and do not pull it apart because, like I said, we got inception right here. The flex cable is 3 levels deep. And you want to remove the flex cable from the screen here. So I'm going to lay this down and turn around. I'm going to carefully remove the first layer, the second, and if you can see in there, there's your flex cable attached to the top screen. I'm going to take my pry tool and hopefully I can get a good view, but there's a piece in here There's a small beige piece that flips upward. You cannot pull the flex cable out, you shouldn't, without flipping that upward. So I'm going to flip it upwards. And then I'm going to be very careful when I remove the flex cable. When you do that, your flex cable's out, your screen is off. So that's all there is. Now you can take your new screen and put it back onto your phone. I'm not going to do it in this video. All I'm showing you is the disassembly, but there it is, quick and easy, about 15 minutes. Even if you have really no experience or little to no experience with taking apart phones, you can very easily take apart this Samsung Rant. This is Asia with Think Digital Tech Repair. Have a great day.